So in this video, I want to explore some of the main reasons why you might want to think about accessing your pensions flexibly, certainly in the early years of your retirement. You may be aware of the relatively recent changes to rules with pensions that allow you to access the money in a flexible way. And I want to go through a conversation I had with a prospective client I'm going to call Stephen, where we explored some of the issues that he had and how flexible pensions were able to solve some of the problems that he was experiencing. Okay, so I'm going to show you a visualization of the issues that Stephen was facing. So Stephen is just turned 60. Now he had some serious health issues about a year ago, and of course when you suffer health issues, it makes you kind of reassess how your future looks. And he's basically decided that although he earns a decent living now, he does actually still enjoy working, but he wants to make some changes to his work-life balance and to spend less time working, more time seeing the family and doing the things that he enjoys, and obviously taking some stress out of the situation to help with his health conditions in general. So we've kind of taken a view as to how much money he needs to live on, and for the purposes of this exercise, he needs about £30,000, which is illustrated by the broader white line on this chart. So at the moment, he earns about £50,000 a year, and you can see that with the red box here. Basically too much money for his circumstances. Clearly at the moment he's using that to put towards his longer-term future. So he's had a word with his employer, and he can reduce his hours, and let's say he can reduce his salary by half and work 50% of the time. So if he starts that from next year, that's what his situation will look like. Now clearly if that was the offer to him, he would be concerned that he doesn't have enough money to live off. But of course in the background he's got a variety of other sources of current and future income. So the first thing that we thought about was, okay, you've got a final salary guaranteed or promise of a future income that will come in from age 65. So that's going to be useful. It's going to be a nice bedrock for Stephen's future retirement income. But of course it doesn't help him in his current situation where he wants to earn less and spend a bit less time at work. So the second thing to think about is his state pension. Well, that comes in at age 66, and that tops up the final salary pension. Now, both the final salary and the state pension are useful bedrock of a future retirement, because they're pretty much guaranteed to come in no matter what, and will increase in line with inflation. So bear in mind that this chart is not taking into account complexities like inflation and future investment growth and things like that. So you can see here that we've got partial solution towards his future retirement needs, but of course not the whole way there. So now in the background he's got some personal pensions which he can access flexibly to pay him an income for his retirement. Well, the first thing I want to show you is just how the traditional retirement annuity would look on this chart. And traditionally you would convert your personal pension or other type of pension for a guaranteed income for life, a bit like a state pension or a final salary pension, although you'd have more choice around when to access that money and how to access that money. But in broad terms, it's going to pay an income for life. So let's look at an increasing income for life that would be popped into this chart. You can see that goes a long way to solving his problem, but it doesn't really solve it in its entirety, because basically between age 61 and 62 he's going to have too much, and when he gets his state pension at later life he's going to have a bit too much, although broadly speaking it's in line with what he was expect to live off. Now the problem is in years 63, 64 and 65 where he doesn't have enough. Now he may have savings that he can use to top up his income, but it's not the perfect solution that he might have wanted. So let's look at how the flexible pensions might improve this situation. So exactly the same situation, currently earns more than he needs, and he wants to reduce his hours and earn less but have more time to spend with the family and the work-life balance and the rest of it. So that's exactly the same in this scenario. Well, of course, we've got exactly the same situation here with his final salary kicking in at age 65 and his state pension kicking in a year later, and again, it's not wholly towards what his goal is of £30,000 a year. So what we can do with flexible pensions is we can look at this on a year-by-year basis and take exactly the amount of money he needs in each tax year to top up the income from employment in the early years, when he stops work in the middle years, and when in later years he starts to take the guaranteed income from other sources. And it simply works like this. So the purple lines fill in the chart, and we can basically meet his income needs year by year by taking a flexible amount from his pension. Now bear in mind, of course, there's a lot more to it than that. It's not quite as simple as that. You need to manage the money to keep growing. You're taking risk with your money on an ongoing basis, and you know there'll be variable amounts of income available from the investments as they grow or deplete in value. But in broad terms, you can see that the value, especially in this sort of partial retirement, semi-retirement phase, where you can take more out in the early years and less out in later years. So hopefully that's been a useful run through of how flexible pensions can help, certainly in the early years of retirement. I should say that you shouldn't go into this kind of thing lightly. There are many risks and pitfalls to be aware of when accessing your pension money. And really, before you make any changes, you really need to speak to a professional advisor to make sure that you understand the risks of flexible pensions, but also that you make sure that you don't run out of money too soon. So if you need to speak to us about this kind of issue, please contact us, and our details are below.